In a quiet village, young Marby, burdened by her cruel aunt's demands, seeks solace in her haunting riverbank songs. One fateful day, her melody awakens a furious river god, whose wrathful pursuit turns her world upside down. As she flees, trembling, from his glowing presence, Marby faces a terrifying choice: retrieve the lost water pot or face her aunt's brutal punishment. But the river god's mysterious power strips her of voice and hearing, plunging her into a silent nightmare. Will Marby escape the deity's rage, reclaim her voice, and uncover the divine secret that could change her life forever? She fled, breathing heavily, yet the river deity relentlessly pursued her. "I beg you, I'll never sing by the river again," Marby pleaded as she ran. She dashed into their home and swiftly shut the door. But upon turning around, Marby was just a poor young girl. She resided with her cruel aunt, Mama Day, in a modest mud hut on the village's outskirts. Marby's parents had passed away when she was 5 years old. Since then, her aunt had taken her in, not out of kindness, but to exploit her for household chores. Each day, Marby toiled from dawn to dusk. She cleaned the yard, gathered firewood, scrubbed dishes, tended the goat's shed, and prepared meals. Yet Mama Day never showed gratitude. Instead, she yelled at her, struck her, and called her worthless. That day, Mama Day handed her a large clay pot and barked, "Go fetch water from the river, and don't return late, you idle girl." Marby silently took the pot. Her stomach growled from hunger, as she hadn't eaten all day. Her feet ached from earlier walks, but she had no choice. She trudged slowly along the path to the river, wiping sweat from her brow with her tattered cloth. As she walked, she began to hum softly. "O river, carry my grief away. O sky, conceal my sorrow. Don't let my tears be seen." It was a song she had created herself. When sadness or exhaustion overwhelmed her, Marby sang. Her voice was gentle and melodic, like a flute in the evening breeze. She arrived at the river and set her pot down by a large flat rock. The river was serene and tranquil. The sun shone brightly, and the trees swayed gently in the breeze. Sitting on the rock, she continued her song. She closed her eyes, letting her voice blend with the wind. Her words moved like the river's flow. She sang of her pain, her hopes, and her longing for love. But suddenly, the river began to tremble. The water churned and swirled at its center, as if something massive was emerging. Marby stopped singing and opened her eyes. What she saw paralyzed her with fear. A figure rose from the river's heart. Not just a man, he was tall and radiant. He wore a flowing white robe that seemed woven from light. His silver hair cascaded to his waist. His eyes were piercing, blazing with intensity. His face was stern, filled with fury. Marby gasped. She tried to flee, but her legs wouldn't budge. It felt as though her feet were rooted to the earth. "How dare you disturb me daily with your singing?" the figure roared. His voice was deep and booming, like thunder echoing through the hills. The trees quaked. The river rippled violently. Marby dropped to her knees, trembling. "Please, don't harm me," she sobbed, her voice quivering. She glanced back, hoping for help, but the path was deserted. No one else was at the river, only her and the enraged spirit before her. "I didn't mean to disturb you," she wept. "I sang only because I'm sorrowful. Please forgive me." The river god gazed at her in silence. His long hair swayed in the breeze. Then, slowly, he vanished without a trace. The water engulfed him, and the river grew calm once more. Marby remained there, stunned. Her body shook uncontrollably. Tears streamed down her face. Her heart raced. She leapt up and fled as fast as she could, leaving her water pot behind on the riverbank. When she reached the compound, Mama Day stood at the door, clutching a long cane. "Where's the water?" she demanded. "Auntie, I saw a figure in the river. He emerged from the water. He was furious." Before she could finish, whack, the cane struck her back. Whack, whack. Mama Day beat her in a rage. "You think you could deceive me with your stories?" she shouted. "You left my pot at the river. Who will replace it? Go back and retrieve it now." Marby wept and pleaded, but her aunt shoved her out. "If you don't return with that pot, you're not welcome here tonight." Marby clutched her waist and walked away, tears flowing. The sun was setting. The sky glowed orange. Birds flew to their nests. Villagers lit their lamps. Marby walked both quickly and hesitantly. She dreaded returning to the river. At the path leading to the river, she stopped. Her body trembled again. Her heart urged, "Go back home. Perhaps Auntie will show mercy." But her mind countered, "If you return without the pot, she'll kill you." She lingered there, scanning her surroundings. Perhaps another person would pass by for her to follow, but no one appeared. The path remained empty. She sat beneath a tree and waited. 1 hour passed. 2 hours passed. Still no one came. It was now 9 p.m. The moon had risen, full and luminous. The wind grew chilly. Marby rubbed her arms. "I can't sleep out here," she said. "I must retrieve that pot." So she stood and began walking slowly again. Upon reaching the riverbank, she halted. The river was still, gleaming under the moonlight like silver. She looked around. Her pot was nowhere to be seen. "Where is it?" she whispered, stepping forward. She searched the grass, the sand, the rocks, but it was gone. Fear suddenly gripped her heart. What if the riverman had taken it? What if he was angry again? Marby sank to her knees and cried louder this time. "Please, I just want my pot. Don't hurt me again," she called out into the air. The river remained still, but then a faint sound, a ripple, a voice soft but near. "You returned?" Marby froze. Her eyes widened. Her mouth opened, but no words emerged. She remained rooted to the spot. Her legs trembled, her eyes wide, her mouth agape in terror. The voice spoke again. "You returned," the river god said. Before Marby could move, the water stirred once more. Slowly, he rose from the river's center, more formidable and angrier than before. His long silver hair danced in the wind. His white robe glowed under the moonlight. His eyes blazed like fire. His face consumed with wrath. "Ah!" Marby screamed, falling backward into the sand. She didn't hesitate. She scrambled up, grabbed her wrapper, and ran. She no longer cared about the pot, the cold, or her bleeding feet from the sharp stones on the path. She just ran. Behind her, the river god stepped onto the shore. His feet touched the ground silently. He walked calmly, yet the trees swayed, the wind howled, and the night grew colder. His presence weighed heavily on the air. Far ahead, Marby paused briefly and glanced back. Her chest heaved with rapid breaths. Sweat dripped from her face despite the chilly night. Then she saw him, the river god. He was walking toward her, distant but approaching. Her mouth fell open in shock. She couldn't believe her eyes. She shook her head, blinked again. He was still there. Her jaw dropped. She didn't wait. She screamed and ran until she reached home. She arrived at the compound, flung the wooden door open, rushed inside, and locked it quickly, trembling like a leaf. "Who's chasing you?" her auntie shouted angrily, storming into the room with her cane. "And where's the water I sent you to fetch? Where's my pot?" Marby tried to speak. She pointed outside with a shaking hand. She opened her mouth to say, "He's coming." But no sound came. She blinked, tried again. Still no voice. She clutched her throat, pressing her neck, trying to force words out. Nothing. She strained to hear her auntie's voice, but heard nothing. The world had gone silent. She was now completely deaf and mute. Marby opened her mouth again. Nothing. She pressed her ears. No sound. She flailed her arms, crying. Her lips moved, but no words came. She pointed outside, sobbing harder. She fell to her knees, clutching her throat, pounding her chest, trying to scream, but only silence remained. Her aunt and her 2 daughters stared, perplexed. Then they burst into laughter. "You lost your voice and hearing over a pot," Mama Day mocked, clapping her hands. "Now you're acting like a lunatic because you lost my pot. Look at you, gesturing like a fool." Her daughters laughed uproariously, clutching their stomachs and rolling on the floor, mocking poor Marby, who still tried to speak. Marby remained kneeling, weeping, when Mama Day shook her head and grabbed her kerosene lamp. "Let me see this nonsense you're playing at," she sneered. pointing outside like a madwoman. She opened the door, stepped outside, and held the lamp high. She looked left, then right. She took a few steps forward. Nothing. No river god, no shadow, no sound. She returned inside. Foolish girl. You think madness will excuse my pot? Mama Day yelled. She yanked Marby up roughly and pushed her toward the door. Go back to that river now. Die there if you must. You're not sleeping here tonight. No food, no bed. Bring my pot. Bang. She slammed the door and locked it. Marby stood outside, shattered and stunned. She pounded on the door. Please, she tried to say, but no words came. Her fist struck the door repeatedly, but she couldn't hear her own knocks. She turned and gazed down the road to the river. It was dark and quiet, but she had no choice, her heart pounding, her knees weak. She began walking slowly back toward the river. She glanced behind her and froze. There, under the moonlight, stood the river god. He hadn't vanished. He was still following. Marby dropped to her knees again. Tears filled her eyes. She opened her mouth to plead, but nothing came. She tried to cry out, but her voice was gone. She looked up at him, like a child begging for mercy. The river god said nothing. He simply raised his hand in a gentle gesture, signaling her to rise. Marby wiped her tears and stood slowly, still trembling, but she obeyed. He gestured again. Keep walking. So Marby walked, step by trembling step, her heart racing, tears falling. But the river god paused suddenly and turned toward Mama Day's house. He stared at it for a long moment, and then something strange occurred. The sky above Mama Day's house darkened. Clouds gathered swiftly, only over her home. Then heavy rain poured, but only on her roof. Thunder rumbled in the sky. A fierce wind blew. Marby's aunt and her daughters were inside when they heard the roof creaking. Suddenly, the wind tore the roof off. Boom! It flew into the air and crashed outside the compound. Rain flooded the house, soaking mats, clothes, and food. They screamed, running from room to room, but nowhere was dry. Strangely, neighboring houses remained untouched. The rain fell only on their home. Inside, Mama Day shouted, "What is this madness?" She ran to the door, but the wind slammed it shut. They were trapped in the deluge. On the road, Marby was unaware of the chaos behind her. She continued toward the river, weeping silently. The river god followed slowly. The breeze rustled the trees gently. The path glowed faintly under the moonlight. Marby didn't know her destination or what lay ahead, but she sensed nothing would ever be the same. She reached the river, still shaking with fear. Her bare feet touched the cold ground. Her hands trembled. Her heart pounded loudly. Then she saw it, her water pot, sitting by the rock where she'd left it. Her eyes widened. She gasped, rushed to it, and grabbed it, falling to her knees. But then something extraordinary happened. Marby opened her mouth to speak, and words came clearly. "Please, let me go," she cried, tears streaming. "I can speak," she shouted in astonishment. "I can speak again." Her voice echoed across the riverbank. She touched her throat, then her ears. She could hear the wind, the river, the rustling leaves. Everything was restored. The river god stood nearby, calm and radiant. His silver hair flowed in the night breeze. His eyes were peaceful now. "The Creator has chosen to bless you, Marby," he said. Marby looked at him, bewildered. "Bless me," she whispered. "Why?" The river god gave a faint smile. "Your heart is pure. Your suffering has reached the heavens." He reached for his neck, removing the golden necklace he always wore, shining brighter than the moon. He extended his hand to her. "Open your hands." Marby obeyed, still kneeling. He placed the necklace gently in her palms. "I bless you with this," he said. "But listen, Marby, if you value your life, never return to your aunt's house. You may not survive to tell your tale if you do." Marby's eyes widened. She looked at the gold in her hands, then back at him. "Why?" she asked. "What do you mean? What will happen if I—" Before she could finish, he vanished into the river without a ripple. The water grew still and silent. Marby stood, trembling, confused, and afraid. She looked left, then right. The breeze whispered around her. Unsure of what to do, she clutched the pot in one hand, the necklace in the other, and ran home as fast as she could. Upon reaching the house, she froze. The roof was gone, its pieces scattered across the compound. The ground was drenched, and inside, everything was soaked. She approached the entrance slowly, gripping her pot tightly. Her aunt stood in the compound with her daughters, all wet and shivering. Seeing Marby, Mama Day screamed, "Get out! You caused this. You brought a curse on my house." Marby fell to her knees. "Auntie, I swear I didn't do anything," she cried. "I don't know what happened. I'm sorry." Whack! Something struck her from behind. She fell and turned to see her cousin holding a thick stick, breathing heavily, eyes filled with anger. "Evil girl," the cousin yelled. "You're why we're suffering. Leave this house." Marby clutched her head, sobbing. Then she recalled the river god's warning. If you value your life, never return to your aunt's house. You may not live to tell the story. She knew she had to leave. Standing, head throbbing, she ran into the bush behind the village, unsure of her destination. She ran until her legs gave out. Then everything went dark and she collapsed. The next morning, sunlight warmed her face. She opened her eyes and gasped. She lay on a mat in a small hut of wood and grass, filled with the scent of herbs and smoke. Sitting up, weak and confused, she saw an old man on a low stool, watching her quietly. "You're awake," he said gently. "Where am I?" Marby asked. "You're in my home," the old man replied. "I'm a traveler. Last night, returning from a journey, I found you in the bush, weak and bleeding, 6 villages from here. I couldn't leave you, so I carried you to my house." Marby was stunned. 6 villages? She whispered. "How did you carry me so far?" The man smiled. "Some paths are guided by spirits, not feet." She didn't understand, but nodded. "Thank you, sir," she said. "Thank you for saving me." The man rose and retrieved a small wooden box from the hut's corner. "I found this beside you," he said, handing it to her. It seemed important. Marby stared at the box, puzzled. "I don't own a box," she said softly, but something urged her to open it. She lifted the lid and gasped. Inside were dozens of gold necklaces, identical to the one from the river god, shining and radiant. The old man watched her closely. "Why are you surprised?" he asked. Marby blinked and said quickly, "I'm just shocked it's still safe." "Thank you, sir." The man nodded, smiling. He had seen such signs before. This girl was special. From that day, Marby started anew. She used some gold to trade in the new village, buying land, building homes, and aiding the poor. Her name spread far and wide. People traveled from distant villages to meet her, seek help, and hear her tale. But she never spoke of the river god, keeping it a secret. In her heart, she knew it was a divine gift, a reward for her suffering. Meanwhile, in her old village, Mama Day and her daughter struggled. Their house had no roof. Their crops withered. No one aided them. They lived in hunger and disgrace. They heard of Marby's wealth and wished to seek her help, but guilt, shame, and fear of rejection held them back. They remained in poverty while Marby became a beacon for many. When others reject and mistreat you, don't lose hope. Keep your heart pure. Your pain may one day become your strength. Those who mocked you will see your name rise. Stay patient and never give up.